think the main thrust or emphasis of my work is the collective. It's the community, the family, the workers, the students, the grouping, the coming together, whether they're doing a similar or the same activity or somehow their activities overlap. So that's one of the reason for the facelessness of the work is for the viewer to complete the image. I want the viewer to come and look at the image, and they need to put themselves, put somebody they know, or a situation that they know, so it recalls some kind of situation or something they've experienced, or they just simply complete the image. And since my work is about the collective, that's the reason why I don't put features or faces. So what's more important for me is community. Yes, Mexican American. I was born in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Soon after I was born, my mother moved up to Denver, Colorado, and I went to school there from kindergarten all the way up through college. I went to the University of Colorado in Boulder. I got my degree from there in business and Spanish with a minor in Latin American studies. And then after that I went to an art school in Denver. It was called Rocky Mountain School of Art, and got an associate degree in art. So I was able to combine my skills as an artist with my Latin American studies as well as my heritage, and then having that business background, marketing, accounting, etc. And it helped me make a living as an artist. So I made a living as an artist from about age 26 to about 45. And then after that I've embarked on a career as a professor. I'm an assistant professor at Regis University, and I just got tenured, so I'll be an associate professor starting next year. Yes, I am an expressionist. To me, when I think about an expressionist, I sort of think of Vincent van Gogh being the father or the one who started what we call expressionism. And expressionism, the artist paints from the heart rather than painting for the eye or painting for the mind. So, I see myself as expressionist in the mark making I use, or if it isn't the mark making, it's the color. I don't necessarily expect the color to describe or simulate the color of the object or the thing, but I expect people to see the color as vibrant and active and full of gesture and sense of harmony too. It's not a brusque or attacking sort of color. There might be some real saturated color, but combined with some real pastel sort of color. And I see that color also coming from folk art from Mexico, Latin America, and then the magical realism comes from my literature, the reading I've done. Since I was a Spanish major, I read Gabriel Garza Marquez, I believe his name is, and Luis Borges. So those are the ones that, when I think of that in time or reality, different things can happen. The spiritual can be present, the dead can be present, the religious can be present, and so all those things can happen in a painting or in a moment of time. So that's where I sort of see the magical realism sort of meeting the expressionistic component of my work. Well, I like a variety of media. I like painting, which I think, to me, it's a little more contemplative. It's a little slower moving. It's usually larger, a little more detailed. And then I also like working in pastel, which is more immediate, probably a little more expressionistic mark making. I also do some print making. I do some etchings. I do some drawing, but at the same time I have to transfer the drawings to plates. I use solar plates. So that printmaking somewhere in between, at least the way I work, between the painting and the pastels, in which there's sort of a more contemplative, sort of slow, sort of, because it's so process oriented. And same thing with the silkscreen. When I work with a master printer, it's a little more contemplative, a little more calming, but I try to add that element of expressionism in it. And I also do some monotypes. Monotypes seem to be a little more like the pastel. A little more explosive, a little more gestural, and I like working in a variety of media in that it gives me more of a vocabulary, more of a voice, because you can do things with monotypes that you can't do with pastels, which you can't do with silkscreen. So you can do certain washes or overlays or color combinations in acrylic that you couldn't even imagine in pastel, or vice versa. So it just gives me more not just more of a vocabulary, but more toys to play with. Well, the idea came from the May 1st march that I went on that year, 2006, and I took a lot of photographs of people marching from North Denver down into the state capital. And I wanted to do an image about immigrants, recent immigration, and sort of a protest piece. But I wanted to combine it with some kind of symbols that sort of said something about where the people come from and where they end up. So I made a hybrid of Our Lady of Guadalupe and the Statue of Liberty. I used Photoshop in order to overlay those two objects. So you can see what I call Loop of Liberty still on the pedestal or on the base that the traditional Statue of Liberty is on. She still has the angel underneath on the crescent moon, and then with her gown, but in one arm it's just like the tablet the Statue of Liberty is carrying. And she also has the crown of the Statue of Liberty and the torch. She's holding the torch, and I gave it sort of a greenish patina that's on the actual statue. So using those two female images, mother images, welcoming images, I thought that'd be kind of a nice way to make a statement about immigrants, since Our Lady of Guadalupe is considered the mother of the Americas, specifically of Mexico. And the Statue of Liberty is right near Ellis Island, where it welcomed visitors or immigrants to the United States. And if you look at all the immigrants, they're sort of marching towards the viewer. They're all holding U.S. flags, and those recent immigrants have added and helped our economy, usually through the service industries. It might be working in janitorial work, picking crops, food services, etc.
And what is the subject of the print you've made with us this year?
Well, I wanted to continue in a series of using U.S. monuments and then cloning or using hybrids that kind of talk about the United States and Latin America. And what I've done is taken Mount Rushmore that has the U.S. forefathers, Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt. And what I did is I superimposed images of Cesar Chavez, Che Guevara, Frida Kahlo, and Jorge Gonzalez. And a couple of them were very active in the civil rights movement during the late 60s, early 70s. Cesar Chavez and Jorge Gonzalez. Frida Kahlo was a Mexican artist, a very free-spirited, expressionistic artist. Somebody who I admire as an artist. And then the fourth person, Che Guevara, he was from Argentina, and he was part of the revolution in Cuba. And he's been looked upon as a martyr for the revolution. So I thought by recreating the Mount Rushmore, it sort of asks the question: who are our heroes? Who builds the monument to our heroes? What if something else would have been different in history? Would those heroes be different? Would a new immigrant population see different heroes, or would they see the same heroes? So just asking people to question, like, who are our heroes, or who could be our heroes, or maybe we can be more inclusive instead of exclusive. With Mount Rushmore, there's always been the controversy of it being built on Native American land, and it was land that was promised to, if I can have this correct, promised to the Sioux for eternity, and then it was taken away because of the gold rush back in the late 1800s. And there's supposed to be another monument, I believe, of Crazy Horse, I believe, that's never been completed, which is near the site. So just asking questions: who owns the land, who controls the land, who puts up the monuments? I guess there's that expression, to the victor go the spoils. So it sort of questions that whole notion of why does the winner always have to get all the benefits. You know, what happens to the rest of the people who are the losers, the people who come later on who aren't even part of that history. Well, I guess my more recent work, the last 10 years, has a little more of an edge to it, a little more social commentary, political commentary. Where my earlier work was more purely expressionistic. Didn't really have that element of magical realism to it, I don't think. You know, as I've matured as an artist, you know, I've become more comfortable with techniques and ideas and concepts and expressing those through a variety of media. As far as my experience here, the first experience was wonderful. I mean, I enjoyed working with Paul. Sam's a great host. All the staff here's always been very cordial and nice and supportive. My current experience is going really well. Ask me in a couple of days when I'm finished with the print. Hopefully, I'll be happy with the print too. But thus far, it's looking really good. I'm really thankful to everybody who's part of the Serie XVII project and supports artists from all over to work in collaboration with a master printer and create an edition that the artist gets to keep half and the other half is used to help the organization so they can continue to help and work with other artists. I hope to continue, since I'm a professor, I hope to continue to have, to be able to continue to create a body of work, to continue to exhibit my work, to have other experiences like this, as well as I do some community murals, continue to teach, hopefully to continue to grow with ideas and techniques and challenging myself.
Good. Thank you.
Sure.